When the American colonies won their independence from Britain in 1783, they had just fought a bloody 8-year war to reject the crown. So why did places like New York, New Jersey, Georgia, and the Carolinas keep their very British names? The short answer is that the revolution was never about erasing British culture. It was about rejecting British political control. Let us start with what a state name actually was in the 1770s. These were not just labels on a map. They were legal entities with charters, deeds, courts, and land grants that went back 50 to 150 years. Virginia was chartered in 1606. Massachusetts had its charter in 1629. People lived their entire lives inside systems built around those names. Changing them would have meant untangling every property line, every contract, every debt, and every will. Second, the revolutionaries still saw themselves as English in culture. They spoke English, read English law, and traced their rights to the Magna Carta and English common law. The Declaration of Independence complains that King George III violated the rights of Englishmen. The founders were not trying to become something else culturally. They wanted the political freedoms they believed were already theirs as English subjects. Tossing out English place names would have felt like tossing out their own heritage. Third, many state names were not really tributes to living British power anyway. New York was named for the Duke of York in 1664, over a century before the Revolution. Georgia honored King George II, who had been dead since 1760. The Carolinas were named for King Charles I, executed in 1649. Pennsylvania honored William Penn's father. These names were already history, not current politics. There was no active king or duke demanding loyalty through the name. Compare that to other revolutions. When countries broke away later, they often renamed places because the names were tied to ongoing colonial rulers. India renamed Bombay to Mumbai and Calcutta to Kolkata decades after 1947 to move away from colonial Anglicization. But in 1783, Americans did not feel that pressure. The king was gone. The names were no longer his. There was also no national body with the power to rename states. Under the Articles of Confederation and even under the Constitution, states controlled their own identities. To rename Virginia, Virginians themselves would have had to vote for it. And why would they? The name carried no tax to London. It carried local pride. Where Americans did have a clean slate, they did choose new names. Look at the territories carved out after independence. Vermont means green mountain in French. Ohio comes from the Iroquois word for great river. Indiana means land of the Indians. Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, these all use indigenous words or new coinages. Once the country expanded past the original 13, the naming pattern shifted completely. One more factor is practicality. Wars are expensive. The new nation was broke. Congress could barely pay the army. Calling a committee to rename every town, river, and colony would have been a massive bureaucratic project with zero benefit. The revolution had one political independence. Renaming things would not make the country more free or more solvent. So the states kept their names because the fight was with Parliament and the king, not with the English language or with 150 years of local history. Americans kept the names but changed what they meant. New York was no longer the Duke's property. It was the people's state. Virginia was no longer a royal colony. It was a commonwealth. The revolution redefined the power behind the names, not the names themselves. 4 minutes of history, and the answer is really about identity. The founders believed they were saving English liberty from a corrupt king. Erasing English names would have meant erasing the very tradition they thought they were defending. If this video helped you, then like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel.